my whole family and send them there. And I got to switch my kids' schools. I got to do this. I got to do that. You know, I got to close down my company. Or two, I have to make enough money there to pay for my living there and then send enough money home to pay for my wife and kids at home.
And then you're not around your family, which put a price on that, you know?
Right. But I mean, you know what? I can get over that if I'm on the road. If I'm on the road working and making money, but I can't go to Florida for 2 years or 3 years. I mean, they got some guys that have been down there for a long time.
Yeah.
Heath Slater was down there a long time. What's his name? I won't keep calling him by his real name, but Damian Sandow. He was down there a long time. Jay Bradley was down there. I actually just talked to Jay Bradley this weekend. He was down there for years, you know, and then all of a sudden you get released. And for me to do that, if I went down there and wrestled 2 or 3 years and made not a lot of money, just a decent amount of money every week to pay my bill, pretty much just pay my bills and then get released, I kind of be screwed because when you get off, you got to start all over again.
Absolutely, and especially if they don't do much with you, you're not only starting over, you're starting below what over is.
Yeah, and it's not up to you; it's up to the writers. So the writers have to want to do something with you. It's not, hey, you're a good wrestler, we want to bring you on TV. The writers have to do something with you.
You know what is pretty unique to you though, man, that I don't know if you really know you have an accent, Louisiana accent, and besides like a Waylon Mercy, they've never really had an angle where you could really pull that kind of swagger off, you know.
And they don't have anybody from Louisiana, period.
Sure.
And rumor has it this WrestleMania 30 is going to be held in New Orleans at the Superdome.
Whoa.
Well, I think rumor has it Luke Hawkins needs to get on WrestleMania.
Or at least get his boys up here in the rotation some tickets so we can go there with you.
Right.
Yeah, dude, that's what I'm talking about. I mean, that's what I want to do. So, my dream is not to wrestle Madison Square Garden in the main event. If I can do something on WrestleMania in my hometown and wrestle a match, not just like do a security spot or something, but if I could wrestle on WrestleMania in my hometown, that would be enough for me.
Everybody that goes to WWE, everyone that's been there, you kind of always walk away with a couple funny stories, or funny incidents, or
something you saw backstage. Somebody screwed up and did the wrong thing backstage.
You've obviously been there a number of times now. Share some stories with us. Share some.
Dude, yeah, I've probably been there, 30 times at least 30 times. But I've never. I'll tell you this, and I'm not saying this to kiss ass because it's WWE or anything. It's the truth. I always felt natural going there. From my first match, when I walked through the curtain, it was always a natural thing. Like I felt like I belonged there, and it's always been a really positive environment. Never no negativity. Never no. I'll tell you a funny story. You want to hear a funny story?
That's what I'm asking you.
I'd probably. Yeah, I know. Sorry. It's probably about my 10th or 15th time there, somewhere up in that area. But I'd been there a little bit, and I was after the Wrestling Society X thing, and things were going good, and I got a good little following from that, so things were on a roll, and I was like, you know what, man, I'm just going to freaking ask Vince McMahon for a job today. So I'm walking around the backstage. I see Vince walk outside the door to go towards the production trucks. So I walk outside the door, and I say, grab him. I say, hey, Vince, can I talk to you for a minute? And, Vince is say what you want about Vince, but, people got their different opinions, but he's always been a very nice guy. When you talk to a guy like this, you know how sometimes you go to an indie locker room, you say hello to a guy don't even look you in the face, he kind of puts his hand sideways and, kind of shoos you up, but saying, hey, here's my hand, shake it.
Of course.
Like if you was going to shake Raven's hand, that's what he would do.
Sure, right, of course. Yeah,
well, Vince always will look you in the eye, hello, and he can give you that courtesy and talk to you like a politician, basically, So I said, Vince, can I ask you a question? He said, sure. I said, I want to know straight from the horse's mouth, what do I need to do to get a job for you? I want to work here. And he gave that, his eyes wide open, and he gave that big gulp. The Vince McMahon TV gulp?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, shit, he's about to tell me to get the fuck lost. So he goes, get with John Laurinaitis. He's the head of talent. And he's like, good to see you again. So a few minutes later, I'm outside, and I'm, still kind of recovering. Vince goes inside. I wait a minute outside. I'm just I probably get my thoughts. I don't remember, but I stayed outside for a minute. I walk back inside, and I see Vince pointing to John across the room, talking to John and pointing all the way across the hall towards me. And he was probably about 50 yards away, and I see him pointing at me. He looks like he's like aggressively pointing. And I'm going, fuck, I'm about to get kicked out. Never I just blew it, you know? John Laurinaitis comes right over to me, and he goes, are you booked tomorrow? And I'm like, yeah. He goes, we're going to get you a match. So
shit.
We go. I'm like, great. I go, I work Chuck Palumbo, we have a kick-ass match. As soon as I get to the back, they're like, man, you made Chuck look like $1 million. And Chuck's like, thank you. You know, that was freaking awesome. You know, y'all need to hire this kid. A little while later, John comes over to me, says they want to hire me. He's going on vacation the next day, but get with Mike Bucci. He's the head of talent, and that's Nova, if y'all don't know.
Right.
No, for any of the listeners don't know. Get with Nova. He's the head of talent. Call him tomorrow. Things are going to we'll start getting the ball rolling, and then we'll take care of things in 2 weeks. Now, at this point, I didn't have anything going on.
Sure.
So I could have, you know, like I could have picked up and moved to Florida, like there was no problem for any amount of money.
Right.
So the next morning I called Bucci, and Bucci's like, yeah, I talked to John. You know, we're going to start the paperwork and everything. John will be back in 2 weeks. That's when we'll, you know, call you back, get in touch with you, and take it from there. Well, within that 2 weeks, that's after the Kristen Wall stuff and stuff happened. That's when all the wrestlers got suspended, and anybody that
Bucci was in
it got fired.
Yeah.
Bucci got fired. So I emailed John Laurinaitis, said we'll be in touch, and never heard back from him.
Dude, it's so funny. That same weekend, the weekend that it happened, Sal and I were in New York for that WSU promotion. That's now a women's promotion, but like they literally had 3 shows that weren't women's shows.
Right.
And we ran into Bucci at the airport, literally at the airport. And anybody that knows him, yeah, he's like an indie mark. Like he gets all the IWA Mid-South DVDs.
Oh yeah.
Everything. So fucking Sal and I walk up to him, and we're like, hey, you know, Nova, what's up, man? We're the Tomasellis, you know, blah, blah, blah. He's like, I know who you guys are. He's like, yeah, you got IWA Mid-South. I watch IWA Mid-South. We're like, literally like, holy shit. He gives us his card. He's like, give me a call Monday. He's like, let's send me some of your stuff. And Sal, we're in the airport, so that's like the best way to see somebody, because then they think you're important. You know, everyone's kind of doing the same thing. And then literally, like you say, that same week, he got whatever that shit with Benoit happened. And like the Fed shut down for that 2 weeks. And then everybody got drug tested, and then he was like the first name that got fired.
Yeah. Well, he did. Yeah, it wasn't because he got drug tested. There was a list of ordering stuff, and so everybody whose name was on the list got in trouble. And if you were part of the office, you got fired. And if you were an agent and he was the talent relations. So if you were an agent or anything like that, you got released. If you were a talent, you got suspended.
So true. So crazy.
Yeah. So like, and then, you know, I guess things just fell through the cracks after that. But I think it was a mixture, not only me having a good match, I think it was a mixture of me, you know, having the balls to go up to Vince. Now, I wouldn't recommend for anybody to do that, though, because I've also seen, you know, things where guys, you know, you never know when it's a good time. You never know what they're going through.
He may have just got his dick sucked like an hour before you did that, so he was in a good mood, you know.
Yeah, exactly. You never know.
You know, it's speaking of dick sucks. So here's the deal. I've seen some photos of you, you know, not recently, but gallivanting around with Trina Michaels. Do you have any stories about Trina Michaels? Because right now there's a photo of her on our screen here. I'm showing everybody else in the room, and they're all shaking their head at the size of those tits. So do you have any?
Just look. Y'all should be jealous of me. And everybody else should too.
What's the story? How'd you meet her? How do you know her? I know you.
Trina's my baby, man. It's a long story. I was kind of dating Brooke Haven for a little bit. I don't know if y'all familiar with Brooke Haven, adult film star.
Yeah.
And her and Trina were roommates. So when I was seeing Brooke, they lived together in California. Basically, Brooke wanted me to move out to California, and I was like, hell no, I ain't moving out to California. So
you fucked. So you're saying you fucked both them at the same time. Let's get real.
No, that never happened.
Oh, boo!
Wow.
All right.
I met Trina through Brooke, and then actually used to do some bodyguard work for him too. Like when whenever they had to go do the private strip club tours, like where they get flown to wherever.
Sure.
You know, and be like the main attraction. They have to bring a bodyguard with them, and it's all paid for. Plus, you get paid. So I'd just be happy to be lucky enough to be the guy that gets to do that.
What a job!
That is a hell of a job.
Yeah. So I've definitely got my benefits.
Do you have any cool stories of being in that world? I mean, obviously you've been around some things. What stands out when you tell those stories? What are you giggling about right now in the back of your head?
Strippers are usually fucking idiots, man.
Sure.
Wrestling stories are way better than those. It wasn't nothing. Trina's awesome. I love Trina to death. She manages me. We talk every day. We're real close, and we always have been. But most of them, man, most porn chicks and strippers, you know how they are. They're mostly drug addicts like wrestlers, man. You get around a bunch of dumbass drug addicts.
Sure.
They make bank loads of money. I wish I had tits so I can go shaking one night and pull in a couple grand and then, But here's the problem with that. They're just like wrestlers. When that couple grand ain't coming in, they don't know what to freaking do with themselves. They want to jump off a cliff. The thing about being a chick is, though, you can go marry some rich dude and you're set up. Some sucker will take you in.
Sure. That's true. Especially when you got a big old pair of bolt-on cans like Trina Michaels does. Whoa.
Yeah, exactly. Wrestlers, we ain't that fortunate. It's like when we're done, we got to go find, sell cars or something.
Exactly. Now, maybe it's been a year, 6 months to a year now, the latest version of Shane Douglas's ECW has been out, and I know you've liked some of my comments in the past where I've shit all over Shane Douglas and these ECW reunion shows that just make me want to kill myself. The exploiting of it. He's an idiot, right? But this latest deal, when they first started the Extreme Reunion shows, and you were on, I believe, the first or second one, and they were bringing back all the rehashed bullshit, and you were real boisterous about it and shit all over it, which rightfully so.
I was very boisterous. Backstage. Here's the thing: not one of them motherfuckers had the balls to stand up and tell me anything different.
Yeah, so talk about that time that show happens. All those old timers are there, and they're all beat to shit. They're all addicts, times 1,000. What was that like, man? And what was it like to stand up to these guys that arguably at one point was heroes?
It was a shame because it makes you want to shake your head to go, look at this great opportunity. Look at, you have over 2,000 people here, a hot crowd. You these guys aren't getting booked every weekend. These guys are struggling, but they couldn't come in sober for one night that they had to go fuck up this whole show.
Sure.
And Shane was an idiot for booking the stuff Shane books. He has no idea what he's doing. That's a shoot, man.
Sure.
That dude's a freaking moron.
I'm
there because of Kevin Kleinrock and Steve O'Neill.
Okay.
So they knew my hatred with Shane Douglas. They knew I wasn't, Kevin especially, because it all steamed back from XPW. So Kevin said, look, man, this is a prime opportunity for you to grab the bull by the horns.
So tell that story. What goes back to XPW and Shane Douglas? Why are you angry with him about that? What happened there?
Here's the thing, man. You know how sometimes you want to meet somebody so bad you look up to them, and then when you meet them, they're the biggest letdown?
Right.
Pretty much the exact same thing, but when you work for a guy and he lies to you or he tells you, for instance, Shane Douglas told me I should get out the business back then. Well, actually, it wasn't then. He told me when he was in TNA that I should get out the business. Because I made the stupid question, which isn't a stupid question, but it's a stupid question because there's no real rhyme or reason. How can I make it in the business? Well, you can't. You should probably just, give it up. And when somebody you look up to tells you something like that, you're like, you know what? Fuck you, motherfucker. I'm going to shove this down your throat.
Sure. And it's funny because it's funny coming from him who was so out there and talking shit about Ric Flair and how Ric Flair didn't treat the business the right way on his way out. And here you find out that he's the same guy. He's treating the business shitty on his way out.
Look, the biggest mark for franchise is Shane Douglas himself. He's a mark for himself, and that's it.
And is he still that way, even though he's like a shell of what he once was? He's still such a shithead?
He's that way. Look, I have no dealings with him at all. I don't talk to him backstage. We don't see each other. When I walk somewhere, if he knows I'm around, he scurries out the way. Like we're never within 50 yards of each other.
Wow. And I mean, he goes out there and says that he's not going to put himself on these shows anymore. He's just going to book them, and then now he's already in like the main event angle again. Like, do you guys just shake your head at him and go, get the fuck off?
And I was given the opportunity. I did a run-in on this last show, and I made sure to fucking beat the fuck out of him when I got out there. So
no shit. Yeah, you gave him a couple of shots, I take it?
I definitely gave him some shots.
And then what happened from your point of view with Matt Hardy? I understand he got binged up a little bit, pushed off the top rope.